Okay, so this time I'm going to be doing something slightly different, which is I'm going to be building another system into this case. And you might be going like, you just took one out, you're going to put it back in. No, I'm going to be putting in a slightly different system this time. This system, as mentioned in I think 2 earlier videos, is an older computer that I got, and now I'm currently using it as a server. And currently it was just sitting on the ground, as you would have seen in the older videos. Now it's going to be chucked into this case, because now I have this case laying around. So let's get into doing this. So before I can go and actually put it into a different case, I'm going to have to change this cooler. Because I don't know if you've watched my newer videos, or the videos on building stuff in this case, but there's nowhere near enough clearance to put a tall heatsink cooler like this. I'm going to have to use a stock cooler. The performance won't be horrible, because the CPU really isn't doing that much most of the time. It's like maxing out 60% load when I'm actually playing on the game server on it. And other than that, it's pretty much doing nothing most of the time. So I'm not worried about that. And, you know, I can ramp this fan up. I don't have to have it, like, silent. And this is a relatively low-end CPU. This is an Athlon 64 2.4 GHz. So here's the motherboard right here. You can see here's the CPU. One thing you should do before doing this is clean the CPU. I don't recommend you touch it, but I just did. So I'm just going to use a paper towel. I don't feel like wasting thermal paste, or, yeah, I'll use thermal paste on it. But a little bit of rubbing, yeah. I don't suggest this. I think you should be using something like rubbing alcohol here. But I don't have my hands on any. And the CPU doesn't make very much heat, so I don't really care. So, it's okay. I'm going to get some thermal paste, put it on here, and I'll do a little bit more things off camera, then I'll be back. So, essentially, thermal paste applying is essentially the same for any CPU these days. You just put a little bit blob in the center. I'll do it here. You don't need very much. There you go. That should be enough thermal paste. It's been so long since I put thermal paste on a CPU. Don't overdo it. Oh, I just touched that. So, don't overdo the thermal paste. There you go. Stock CPU cooler application is fairly easy. Just push it on. Blah blah blah. You probably all know how to do this already. This cooler doesn't want to go on right now. Oh, there it goes. This cooler I actually got off my desktop CPU. So, if you're wondering, that's where I got it from. This motherboard came with a different CPU. It was a different cooler. It was a more OEM style one. I actually broke one of the blades off the fan, which I'm seeming to have a problem with that around now, because I've done that to like way too many fans, but I don't know. So this motherboard is strange, as in it actually requires an RPM monitor to start the motherboard. I've experienced no other computer that actually has to have an RPM signal for it to boot. It'll like post, as in it'll just say CPU fan stopped working, or it'll shut down. Which I guess for consumer grade board, they want to keep the idiots out of there, but for a more enthusiast board, I'd understand why they wouldn't. So, thingy really doesn't go in that with that much pressure. Now this is the more weird style building situation. Kind of slits in just like this, and then I have to align all these posts, as in the actual nut goes in through the bottom instead of the top, making it more of an interesting style build. I've done I think I've done 2 other builds in this case that I put on YouTube, so go check my older videos. That might even be in the recommended video thingy on one of these sides of me. I don't know which side. So there you go. I have that. I'm gonna look for the screws and do some other things off camera. Then I'll be back. So I finished up all the building off camera, and here's the inside of it. I didn't plug in the 4-pin and the 20-pin. Yes, it's a 20-pin, just because the cable reaches from the power supply aren't long enough. So, it's annoying. But I'll just have to plug it in when I close it. I put in this fan right here, which I'm powering instead of these fans, other ones in the case. And no one at the bottom, because there really isn't room for one. I could probably squeeze it in there, but this thing doesn't make enough heat to need those fans. And this fan right here, I'm going to mainly do just to keep these drives cool. Because other than the drives and the CPU, there's pretty little heat being made by the system. There's some being made by the chipset, but there's heat being blown off the CPU to that area. So, other than the drives, this item, and the power supply, which all have their own dedicated fan, there's really no use. So I'm just going to call a quick video clip once I get back up in its area and running. But I'm just going to plug in all the connectors, and I finish it. Oh, and here's a quick look at the front. Power button right here. It is the power LED right there. Nothing on this side. On the back, we have the power supply. We have the 115 versus 230 volt switch and the IEC power cord input. We have the motherboard tray, which has a VGA port, 2 PS2 ports for the ye old keyboards, a 100 megabit LAN, which I'm going to be only connector I'll be using, 2 USB ports, 3 audio ports, which I've covered up. This area has been turned into a fan area. Rest of everything is essentially the same. At the bottom, I don't want to take this thing, but I will. You can see I have a ton of cables. This is only gonna be used by me, so I don't really care what it looks like. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe and like the video.